Think back to a world where your morning shower was less a quick rinse and more a high-stakes performance involving pink porcelain, clouds of suffocating floral powder, and a sincere belief that the wrong soap could cost you your social standing. The 1950s bathroom was a space where the lingering ghosts of the Victorian era met the aggressive, plastic-wrapped promises of the future, creating a bathing culture that was both deeply nostalgic and utterly bizarre. To understand why people bathed so differently in this decade, you first have to look at the room itself, which had transformed from a utilitarian closet into a pastel-hued shrine to domestic perfection. Before the mid-century, many homes still treated the bathroom as a shared, somewhat drafty necessity, but the 1950s brought the luxury suite mentality into the middle-class home. Suddenly, the bathtub wasn't just a place to get clean, it was a centerpiece of mamey pink or seafoam green porcelain, designed to match the owner's sense of modern flair. There was a weirdly specific obsession with color coordination that extended to every tile, every towel, and even the toilet paper, which often came in matching shades of soft lilac or lemon yellow. Bathing in the 1950s was a ritual of heavy ceramic and steaming water, but it was also a time when the Saturday night bath was still a very recent memory for many. While the daily shower was becoming the new standard for the upwardly mobile suburbanite, the deep, soaking tub remained the ultimate symbol of relaxation. However, this relaxation was often complicated by the tools people brought into the water. In an era that loved a specialized gadget, the bathroom was a prime target for inventors. You had long-handled brushes made of stiff, natural bristles that were supposed to invigorate the circulation, which essentially meant scrubbing one's skin until it was a bright, angry red. There were rubber needle showerheads that were marketed for their ability to deliver a stinging high-pressure spray that supposedly massaged the muscles. But in reality, they felt more like being pelted with gravel. And then there were the soaps. In the 1950s, soap wasn't just a surfactant. It was a moral barometer. Marketing campaigns of the time were incredibly aggressive, suggesting that body odor was a secret shame that your best friends wouldn't tell you about, but that would secretly ruin your marriage or your career. This led to the proliferation of deodorant soaps like Dial or Lifebuoy, which contained hexachlorophene, a potent antibacterial agent that would eventually be banned for its toxicity. But at the time, it was the miracle ingredient that promised to keep you surgical clean. People didn't just wash, they scoured themselves in an attempt to reach a state of sterile perfection that was physically impossible. The bath was also a place for strange chemical experimentation under the guise of beauty treatments. Women were encouraged to pour thick perfumed oils into the water that promised to moisturize the skin, but frequently left a slick, dangerous film on the bottom of the tub, and a stubborn gray ring that required hours of scrubbing with harsh, abrasive powders. There was a peculiar trend of medicated bath salts that turned the water a vivid, murky blue or green, claiming to draw out the toxins of a busy day at the office or the stress of managing a household. These salts often smelled of eucalyptus and menthol, turning the bathroom into a pungent, steamy cavern that felt more like a hospital ward than a spa. And for those who preferred a shower, the 1950s introduced the ubiquitous plastic shower cap, a crinkly, elasticized dome that turned the human head into a giant waterproof mushroom. Because hairstyles were so labor-intensive, involving heavy rollers, setting lotions, and hours under a hooded dryer, getting one's hair wet was considered a domestic catastrophe. A woman would go to great lengths to protect her set, often bathing with her head tilted at an awkward, neck-straining angle to avoid even a stray droplet of moisture. This fear of the water created a strange paradox. The body was supposed to be scrupulously clean, but the hair was often a week-old architectural feat held together by lacquer and hope. Once the bather emerged from the steam, the ritual entered its most suffocating phase, the application of talcum powder. In the 1950s, no bath was complete without a dusting. People would use giant fluffy puffs to apply thick layers of scented talc to every inch of their bodies, creating a white, powdery cloud that settled over everything in the room like a light snowfall. The goal was to stay dry and fresh, but the result was a heavy floral scent that clung to clothes and furniture, an olfactory signature of the era. This powdering was done with a level of seriousness that seems almost religious today, a final barrier against the perceived filth of the outside world. Men, too, had their specific rituals involving bracing aftershaves that contained enough alcohol to sanitize a wound and hair tonics that used heavy oils to achieve the slicked-back look of the day. The 1950s bather was a person who believed in the power of the bottle and the jar, convinced that every pore needed to be managed, scented, and sealed. There was a nostalgic, almost innocent belief that a good, clean scrub could solve the anxieties of the Cold War, that if your home was spotless and your skin was scented with lavender, the world outside was a little less threatening. But looking back, there is something undeniably weird about the intensity of it all. We see a generation that was obsessed with freshness, yet used chemicals that we now know were hazardous. A culture that valued relaxation, yet turned the bathroom into a place of high-pressure sprays and caustic cleaners. The 1950s bath was a transition point, a moment when the primitive habits of the past were being polished and packaged into the consumerist dreams of the future. It was a time when a bar of soap was a weapon against social failure and a pink bathtub was a portal to a better life. We still follow many of these instincts today, our shelves lined with specialized washes and detoxifying salts. But we have lost that specific, mid-century brand of theatrical cleanliness. We no longer see the bath as a performance or a pastel-colored sanctuary of modern living, but rather as a 5-minute chore to be squeezed in between emails. There is a certain sadness in that loss of ceremony, and even if the ceremony itself involved breathing in clouds of talc and scrubbing with toxic hexachlorophene. The 1950s bather was a dreamer standing in a cloud of steam, hoping that the next rinse would finally wash away the dirt of the world and leave them as perfect as the people in the advertisements. And while the pink tiles have mostly been replaced by neutral grays and the needle showers have been swapped for rain heads, the underlying drive remains the same. We are still searching for that object, that scent, or that ritual that will finally make us feel truly, perfectly clean. Looking back at the strange, colorful, and occasionally dangerous world of mid-century hygiene, we see a reflection of our own endless quest for self-improvement.